champ select, of course, so Infernum going to kick things off on the blue side, Direwolves over on the red. Kassadin, Yasuo, Twisted Fate, just done by Fantix champion pool. They don't want to play against any of that, with Graves, Dr. Mundo, and Kindred being the 3 bans there from Direwolves.
This is seriously the quickest draft that I've ever seen in my entire life. I cannot actually keep up.
Gangplank's been picked, and we've got Rise Ezreal with 2 more picks for Infernum. That's a big pick away from Fantix there from Infernum to start things off as well.
Definitely is, and Gangplank's something that's been banned a whole lot recently. Very surprised to see it go through, but of course, mostly targeted bans here.
There are so many. These picks are so fast. Trundle, Tom Kent going to join in there as well, but like we keep saying, the theme of this champ select is Fantix don't get any good champions.
But they do have one that could be flexed to him right now. Like, in fact, they've got 2 that could be flexed to him right now. Ezreal and Rise, both on Direwolves. Sharp has been seen playing Rise recently, so don't be surprised if it goes into that top lane. But there is a real chance that Fantix, if given a good matchup, will play that mid.
And we heard it from the desk as well. Fantix, formerly known as Perfection, you saw him play last year in the top lane, sometimes then in mid lane towards the latter half of last season. Excellent player, just so good and perfect almost in his play, which is why his old ID was so fitting. 2 more picks from Direwolves now, as they are taking their time. We've slowed down things a bit here in the draft after a lightning fast round of picks. At least being looked at here for Sybil. He does like his aggressive junglers.
You know, part of me is happy they slowed it down because no one can draft that fast without reacting to what has been picked in front of them. Of course, we have to look at Infernum's first 3 picks. They are monstrous picks. Like, they are the biggest power picks you can possibly get.
About big potato tanks. Video of the Tom Kent and the Trundle potentially as Elise Braum are the next 2 picks there from DW.
Yeah, so Elise and Braum picked up an aggressive jungler here for Sybil. Should be able to match that of Seb, which we know he does like to be aggressive and get in the face of people, is a big Lee Sin fan. So a smart decision here to go for the Elise jungle so well. Very rarely will you see an Elise get invaded because her dueling is so strong.
Yep, makes sense there. So you do have actually the draft done for Infernum. Lucian and Nidalee going to round things out for them, and Dial's just 1 pick left now.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly a ridiculous draft. The Nidalee to round it out, of course, we are on 6.1, so that does mean Nidalee in the jungle is something you'll likely see a lot more of. She is very strong at the moment. Her clear is still the same as it always has been, but she's also up there with dueling potential against what is going to be this Elise.
I believe that juicy new jungle item and changing things up a bit, so Nidalee going to get a bit of an indirect buff there. Dial's, though, do need something here. They're missing either a solo laner or an AD carry. You can see them flipping through a couple of ADs now. And Raze, we've heard it, he's this young, up-and-coming player, very talented. Big first game for him here, and he's going to have to take whatever champion he decides and make it look good.
Absolutely right, and he's got the Braum to back him up, so Kuden's going to be able to protect him with whatever champion he decides to play in this particular matchup. So no real concern, nothing to be afraid of in laning phase, but of course they've opted towards that Corki.
Yep, so they do have Corki now. It's a champion we have actually seen mid lane a few times as well. Every now and then he sneaks in. He's not a typical AD carry, whereas you look at Lucian there for Stealthix, much more typical of this patch, but lots of things to discover here on 6.1. You can see some of the champions going around. It will be based on the Gangplank by the looks of things. And we finished a draft, Rusty. Who do you think is coming ahead here? 6.1 does have a lot of new stuff on it.
It's hard to say. I think it comes down a lot to the jungle pressure in this game. You've got Tahm Kench against Rise. Rise can get out of hand and snowball very quickly, but so can Tahm Kench. If he ever gets ahead, there is no way that Rise can actually lane against him. So Sharp needs to be very careful with his laning phase. The middle lane is just as snowbally with a Gangplank, who at the moment you would have to say is very strong with that Grasp of the Undying and Bandit combo, where you just get free gold for killing them instead of the minions.
Sounds good. As we are going to have Midbeast take there. And there is also a pick away from Fantix, I believe, who's been going through the Gangplank and solo queue, really ripping people apart. Again, we can see that he is going to get the Ezreal as well. So you're right. It is going to be that mid Ezreal, of course. So we've seen a lot of this, I feel like, on this patch and the patch before it. Lots of 2-3 AD comps with a couple tanks either side as well.
Yeah, definitely. The meta seems to be the exact same in 6.1, or from what we've seen of it so far, compared to that of the LPL and LCK. So picking those 2 massive frontliner tanks, or at least one, and a self-sufficient type of champion such as the Alistars, to really round out the team comp and let the backline do damage.
Yeah, we can see the team comps here for both sides. Don't forget to get on Twitter, use the hashtag IMOPL. You can vote for either INF win or DW win if you want Infernum or Dials to have your support behind them with the tweets. But comps look good, I have to say. Players have done their homework. The first 30 seconds of their draft was so fast that it's good to see the players prepared here for Game 1.
Absolutely right, and they should be prepared coming into this. They've had some time, they know who they're going to be up against, and just like that, we're ready to get into it.
Certainly are. We'll get ourselves onto the roof for our first OPL game of the season, actually. It's nice to be in 2016, Rusty. Infernum taking on Direwolves, with Infernum over on the blue side for Game 1. Fantix going to hit a ward right in the face, but we do have a 5-man invade here, actually. from Infernum. Just going to get some deep vision down. If you're sharp, he's maybe stranded here, hanging out in the top left-hand tri-brush. And this is deep vision. Whiffle going to go all the way up top here and get a very deep ward down, potentially spotting for that lane swap vision.
Yeah, so they've placed the ward there, and interestingly enough, I don't think that would reveal someone if they were trying to lane swap. So another ward has been placed a little bit deeper into the lane by someone else to prevent then any lane swap from occurring. The thing with that, though, is Sharp's already out. Sharp is in the lane, ready, sitting there, so they don't actually get any information from this Infernum. In fact, they just have to make that blind guess. They don't want the lane swap, and they're not going to be against it.
Yeah, smart play there from Sharp, actually hiding in that tri-bush and then sneaking into the top lane. We are going to see Stealthix and Whiffle heading to the bottom, but if they wanted the swap, they are going to get the 2v2 lane instead. So it seems like we'll have standard lanes. Cheeky little ward there from Dialves as well, also going to spot that the Krugs are being started. And Sybil's going to start on this Grump. Bit of help there from his bottom lane, but things are going to set up pretty standard here in the early game.
Yeah, and of course the standard lanes, we did have some information basically given to us in that early level 1 in the drafting phases. Everyone knows what's going on, and no one's made any active decisions to prevent this from happening. Seb, he's about to get quite low in this first clear of the jungle because he hasn't opted into that heal just yet. So around level 3, once he finally gets the heal, we might see some gank attempts from this Nidalee. There's a very low chance of it, though, based off where he's starting.
Yep, both junglers actually on the blues right now, so we'll see where they end up and if we go for any early ganks. Elise especially pretty capable there. Nice little bit of harass there from Raze as well, using that Phosphorus Bomb at level 1. Kuden actually staying pretty far back here, just hiding himself in the brush. See a Thunderlord's proc there from the Lucian as we pop into the mid lane. Ezreal versus Gangplank. It feels like I haven't seen this one in a while.
Well, that's because you very rarely ever see a Gangplank in a game.
True.
He has been banned so often in every single other pro league that we've seen it maybe once, and that one time we did see it, it actually lost. So a very interesting decision. Mid-beast, of course, every mid laner should know how to play Gangplank, as should every top laner, so not a surprise for him to pick it up. But we'll see if Direwolves actually know how to deal with it.
Well, I guess, as I said, Fenix has a lot of play on it personally, but it doesn't necessarily translate to a team experience. Seb here, like you said, getting quite low, but he's going to clear through the jungle very quickly. You can see Sybil now actually nice and healthy, of course, with as Elise. Going to clear out the Scuttle Crapper and maybe even look for a look top.
And interestingly, this is the major difference. Of course, you're trying to start on your weak side of the jungle, work towards your strong side, and look towards that gank. The thing with that is Seb, starting at his blue buff, isn't going to get a massive leash if he was otherwise with his bottom lane. So very low. I would be surprised to see if this aggression continues past where he is now.
Well, it does spot the Scuttle Crab, so just going to take that for a bit of extra XP and stay relatively healthy. He does have the heal skilled up now. Bottom lane, nice pillar there, but Ray's going to be able to last it relatively easily under turret here with a bit of help from Kuden. So not looking too bad here. The lane's actually fairly even across the board. Even Jack on the big tank there, and Tom Kench getting shoved in early on a bit by Sharp, but no struggles at all. Again, lots of farming in the early stages.
Yeah, absolutely right. We're looking at an Ezreal against the Gangplank, so if we want to talk about farming, that is the massive lane to do it on. Top lane as well, they do want to scale a little bit. You're looking at the Balmy Cinder type of power spike for Jack Attack to deal with the wave clear that will inevitably come out of Sharp once he gets the tier on level 6. So scaling mid lane, scaling top lane. Nidalee always wants to get a bit of farm, so as spears start to chunk people down, they're okay with farming themselves, and the bottom lane really is the only questionable one because they can spike a little bit earlier.
Yeah, well, taking it easy so far at least, as we had a fairly quiet first 4.5 minutes. Midbeast setting up some kegs now. Nice auto there from Fantix. Just going to make sure he clears that out of the way, but once again, shouldn't be too bad here. Kuden jumps in, looks for the Q, will miss it there onto Stealthix, who's with a nice sidestep there just to the right. Sybil now doing a bit of counter jungling though. Actually going to take away the Raptor camp, although Midbeast does want it. Sybil will smite it away and just get away with robbery.
And Sybil one level behind Seb at the moment. Does need to tread slightly carefully, otherwise he could run into a very awkward situation. Seb doesn't spot him, but Sybil knows. Oh, never mind, they do.
Gets out of the way. Actually a ward right there. Little now see with the Raptor buff that he stole away. Will clear it. So a nice little bit of early vision here. We've talked about it a bit, but vision in the preseason, much harder to come by these days.
Definitely is, of course. Only having the pink wards is something that you can purchase. You need to be very careful with those vision trinkets and where you're placing them down, or you could run into situations where the junglers will come up to you. One thing I want to touch on right now is the difference between these mid laners. Fantix being ranged and having that natural early advantage is putting him in a very positive situation against Midbeast, who seems to be a little bit stuck under his turret.
He does, getting pushed in and falling behind a bit in CS. We've talked a lot about Fantix's mechanics. So looking good there in the early stages. The Sharp does TP his way back to top lane, but he has a tier to start stacking up as well. So again, the scaling here for Direwolves, they're more than happy to sit and wait, but Infernum are probably just fine with the early gentleman's agreement.
Absolutely right. Of course, I don't know if it's a gentleman's agreement, more of a neutral stance at the moment. They do want to kill each other. Don't get that misconstrued. They just haven't found a way to do so. Hopefully they find their way in. Of course, a different decision here from Jack Attack with his itemization. Didn't want the wave clear from the Balmy Cinder. Instead, the Spectre's Cow to survive the burst out of Rice.
Yep, I mean, not too bad here. We'll shake off some Elise damage as well, so fairly safe in the top side, but that's relatively true of Tahm Kench, I think, as a general rule.
Petition to change his name to Jack Attack.
Jack Attack? Maybe. We'll have to see. See if we can hook that up there as Sybil does find a pink ward. Going to clear that out of the way and put some vision down of his own. Now going to take the Scuttle Crab as well, so getting a bit of early aggression down in this jungle. You can see Cinderhawk coming out now for Sybil, but of course, as expected, we will have Seb going for that more aggressive new AP jungle item.
Yeah, absolutely right. The Runic Echoes should be the item of choice here for Seb. Has the same passive, the unique passive, as Fantix actually killing them.
That was very tight.
That has ruined a lot for Midbeast. He now has to take poke if he wants to get farm, and actually really struggling in this middle lane. But as I was saying, the Echo's passive is the exact same as Luden's Echo for Seb, so he'll probably itemize towards a Lich Bane on his Nidalee jungle after getting that new item.
And you guys seen Nidalee jungle before, but she gets going with those items, does do a fairly substantial amount of damage as Fantix finally eats a barrel. So you can see he's still keeping the CS lead nice and high here for himself. 20 CS ahead actually, nice and early in the mid lane.
But yet to recall himself, so doesn't have the items to deal with the sheen on Midbeast on this gangplank at the moment. He's looking to stay here, and honestly, if he's going for a tier item, I would deem that as a mistake.
That's true, actually.
He's at his second blue buff rotation, isn't going to be able to stack that tier, has to recall.
Yep, pretty much all the Ezreal mid we've seen recently has been blue Ezreal, and even Ezreal bottom when we've seen it as an AD carry, so have to agree there. Fantix, kind of in typical style, is getting quite greedy for a lot of this early CS.
We do know Fantix waits until 20 minutes to come online no matter what champion he's playing, so this isn't really a surprise whatsoever yet.
Not yet. Just going to clear these up. Blue buff helping out immensely, of course, in the farm battle, but seem to grow that CS lead rather than go back for some items. We'll see how that works out, especially if Seb is going to come around to that mid lane potentially, but Nidalee just farming up happily right now. Blue might go over here to Midbeast as well. He's going to start setting that up. Good ward there from Direwolves, will spot it, but unless the ulti comes out here, which is already used for Fantix to clear the wave, not going to be able to take this one away. And he does go back. It is a tier.
And it took him quite some time to get that tier, so a little bit delayed on the stacking of that tier. Should be perfectly fine, as he definitely still has that blue buff available to him, as Whiffle's looking for it.
Tag. That could be bad news there for the Braum. Passive does not trigger. Raze needs one more auto. Celtic's actually coming back in. He's got the culling. And Raze took a little too much damage there.
Celtics probably could have used his ultimate there just to make sure they continue to poke them out and win that trade, but instead opts to hold on to it and saves it for if they fight again in the future. The threat of that ultimate being there is a lot more than it already being used for a bit of extra damage.
Yep, and you can see Whiffle and Stealthix might start playing a little bit further up in this lane. Do have BF sword already finished for Lucian, so auto's starting to hurt. Phage there for Raze is just fine in any sort of duel situation, as Sybil is going to spot the pink ward in the exact same spot. That's some pretty nice gold, and of course some great vision clearing into his back pocket.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of vision, across the board here, both teams are focusing solely on that vision to let their laners go as more poke bottom.
Kuden a little off on that shield, and that's going to be good damage once again onto Raze. Celtics and Whiffle really shoving them into this turret. It's not affecting the CS just yet, but creating good pressure here in the bottom lane.
But Seb is stalking his way around here, so looking for an opportunity, as there isn't a ward in the bush that he's in at the moment. Should actually find maybe a semblance of a gank.
Yeah, good coverage here actually, as Seb just wants the spear. We have to see if Kuden's reactions are on point. He's standing well and truly in front of Raze now. He might face check. He barely misses the bush there. And Seb actually might just give it up here.
The patience from Seb doesn't actually want to reveal himself at all, not even by throwing a spear out for poke. Instead, opts to recall, and they can play around not knowing where the vision is from, Direwolves not knowing if he's in that bush. But Sybil seems to have an inkling because he's stealing away the jungle.
I mean, he has vision here, so he knows he's not at the Grom. At least can infer that information. So while he knows he's not, while his bottom side probably is going to steal that away and get a big hefty bonus there for stealing that. In fact, here come the Wolves as well. Sybil does not have his smite though. Will Spirit will spot Sybil moving through the jungle as Seb going to clear that out now. Very efficient with that jungle enchant now that he's finished it up.
Yeah, definitely will be. And honestly, I think Seb needs to start focusing this middle lane. He needs to help, because seriously, Midbeast may have that teleport, but he's losing trades, and he's starting to get further and further behind an Ezreal that is still going to continue to scale. And this is when Ezreal's necessarily weak.
Oh, actually trouble in the bottom lane. Raze could be in a bit of strife here. Whipple, he's going to get CC'd up there by the Braum passive. And good trade there back and forth. Cuden doing a nice job covering this lane, but Raze continuing to take a little too much damage in these trades.
Stealthic starting to come up prime. Of course, the BF sword against the Phage and a Mana Crystal. A slight edge here in favor of the Infernum bottom lane. They are making their presence known in the lane, but they haven't found their way into a kill yet.
Seb does steal the Scuttle Crab. That's good vision taken away. So had a little jungler battle there. Fantix again. Oh, doesn't get it that time. Damage is good. But Fantix not too worried. Just going to pop a potion. And pull the wave all the way back.
Keeping in mind, Sybil is right there as well. Cleared away the vision. Midbeast, of course, knew it was there because he cleared away the vision.
Ooh, good Q actually. We'll find a pink ward as well. Looks like Stealthix and Whiffle do want to go back, so bit of a respite here in bottom lane for Raze and Cuden, but Wave not in the best spot. Stealthix kind of says, okay, we kind of have to stay now.
And they definitely have to. It's a real problem. Of course, Stealthix has his ultimate. He could use it at any time if he ever feels like he desperately has to clear the wave. Is feeling pressured, but is opting to stay, I'm guessing, a little bit closer to the item that he really wants.
Yep, should be building in towards probably Essence Reaver. It's been the fairly common first item for a lot of Lucians, but could be almost anything with the BF sword, as Sybil is going to wander down here, but will be spotted by a ward. In fact, 2 wards as a fresh one just gets put down. Yep, they know you hear Sybil now. They definitely know they know they're here.
Well, Sybil knows at least this time, so he's going to have to back off. Just looking to pressure them, of course.
Ooh. Oh, Fantix could be in trouble. Actually looking for the 1v1, but here comes Seb as well. Fantix does have the ulti, just needs to line it up. Will juke the spear. Might even go for the 1v2 here. He's in vision. I think he wants to throw the ulti, but Dial just collapsed onto Dragon.
It took quite a lot of time, but Seb finally drew his attention towards that middle lane that is desperately requiring him. GP has a teleport. Infernum, they may want to fight this.
They may. Oh, Stealthix actually coming around. Cuden in trouble. Has to flash out after using it. Seb will move in to steal the Dragon, but here come the rest of Infernum. Sybil now caught on the right side. Does get tagged up by the Tahm Kench. He will be first blood. In fact, a double kill. Seb comes up massive in that fight.
Seb getting 2 kills is massive on a snowball champion like Nidalee. Infernum, of course, they had the teleport available for Midbeast and Jack Attack, and that was where they came up trumps. Fantix looked for some very big trades. He thought he was winning that 1 versus 2, and Dials naturally progressed towards the Dragon because it's just the free objective to take. In this case, though, not so free, and they pay for it.
Certainly do. Ooh, spear just misses there as well. Seb continuing to apply pressure as the first early trades actually go to Infernum. 1,000 gold up now after those 2 kills. And they got the Dragon steal.
Exactly right, in a comfortable position. Seb has to step up from this point on. Of course, we know he's new to the team. Very new to that lineup, and if he doesn't start carrying for his team, as Sharp throws his Q through a minion, weirdly enough, then, I mean, honestly, Infernum, they won't have much left. And we're going to see this again, of course. The teleports, looks like 2 of them on the exact same ward. Catching Dialos by surprise, Seb picks up the first kill under Cuden, who was way in the distance with a spear, and picks up that second one straight away. Double kill for Seb, too easy.
Yeah, and there's Midbeast now going to get the blue donated over as well. You can see vision starting to be put down. Whiffle moving out aggressively to clear some vision over his own. And Stealthix has finished at Essence Reaver. Raze on the other side does have his Trinity Force completed. And the Iceborne Gauntlet with the Mana Mune on the way is now up for Fantix. So early itemization starting to come together. Even Rod of Ages done for Sharp is good timing on that as well. But Midbeast's going to have that Trinity Force soon enough. Jag Attack nice and tanky early with that Spirit Visage. And all of a sudden, almost 15 minutes into the game, we've got first items across the board.
We definitely do. Big power spikes. Both people having those Trinity Forces is a good sign of fighting that should be coming from this. If it doesn't eventuate, I will be quite surprised. Champions like Corki, they want to utilize that Trinity Force and actually get themselves further ahead so that they can stay in that position. If it doesn't work out for them, then they start to drop behind, and those rockets on the ultimate feel a lot less impactful than you would like.
Certainly do. There's Dials. I'm going to try something here. Jag Attack going to eat Sharp, though, and damage is good there from the Tahm Kench. Craft the Undying procs. Tongue Lash not quite there for the stun. The snare is good, but he's forced to flash. Jag Attack Might even look for the
GP
dive. Ulti out there as well. Jack wants it. Goes in for the tongue lash and gets it, but Sybil is going to catch him off with the cocoon as well. Plenty of grey health though.
Oh
and he's just going to use it.
God.
He might even go in to eat Sybil, but Fantix is roaming up as well. He's going to have to eat him though. Repel's good.
Whoa.
Does get eaten though. And Fantix is still coming up. Can't get him over the wall. Sybil's going to maybe get the 1v1. No, not enough. Fantix comes in, does save him, and collects the kill.
With Sybil trying really hard to give the kill to Fantix, who was making his way all the way top. Very nearly from Jack Attack there, gets himself a lot of damage on a Sybil and looking at a second kill. But unfortunately, Jack Attack forcing himself in a dive as bottom's fighting.
Yeah, Kuden has to back up there, and now here comes the dive. Mid-beast and Seb, here's the insta TP, is up from Sharp. Ulti as well, barely misses Whiffle just on the end there. And Sharp has the TP because he needs to save his bottom lane.
The most unfortunate thing about that dive that happened top was the way that the... Oh, you need to be careful. He should be fine. It's a blue Ezreal.
He's going for it. No, barrels missed. Seb is going to be the next one. Fantix shifts out of the way. Dials don't really want to fight, just trying to play damage control. The aggression starting to step up in the bottom lane here as Fantix eats a spear.
Why is he not respecting the Nidalee? This is a 2-0 Nidalee who's almost at her Rod of Ages at 17 minutes as a jungler.
Yep.
And has completed the jungle item. And Fantix is trying to trade with Ezreal Qs and he's really paying for it.
Yeah, just doesn't have the items up quite yet. Still looking for those 2 items that really kick off the blue Ezreal power spike. Dials though are going to get a bit of breathing room here in the bottom lane. Clear this wave up. Probably look to go back just to make sure everything's okay. Celtics does get tagged, but they're just going to leave it here. They might lose the tower if they're looking to recall now. And Sharp back in the top lane using that ulti. Going to proc the passive and clear through this minion wave. But it just feels like the Wolves are still scaling. You talked about 20 minutes there for Fantix. That's kind of true of the top lane and less to the bottom lane, but a little bit of that as well.
No, it definitely is. And we'll see if they actually want to utilize the... Let's call it the Direwolf standard 20-minute power spike where they just start to randomly group up as 5 people and that's where they win most of their games. They are working towards it at a pretty brisk pace, as you can see. Fantix has got the items he's looking for.
Yep, Manamune completed there. Doesn't quite have the transform yet, but shouldn't be too much longer as he spams out the spells. Top lane, actually, can see 2v2 emerging as Sybil is going to find Seb. Echo will proc, and Sybil's like, yeah, I don't want this at all. Cinderhawk Elise should respect the power of Nidalee. Seb doing a lot of damage right now.
I think Seb needs to respect Sybil as well because Sharp is just watching him as he tries to kill that ward. The big stylistic difference to note at the moment, though, is Sybil's gone for the Cinderhulk option, whereas Seb's going for that Runic Echoes. So damage against tankiness. Of course, I will say the Direwolves need that tank besides Kuden. They don't really have much else.
Yeah, no Alistar here for that sort of support tank that we see a lot of the time. And of course, we've got the Trundle and Tom. Yep, Packet is here. Does go over. Oh, no.
Oh, Raze, welcome to the OPL. This is your moment. Straight
into the trees there on that one, but he'll pick the plane up and be okay. Civil and Kuden are clearing out a ward together, so Dragon up in 20 seconds. I mean, the Dials are looking to get a bit more room around this Dragon area. You can see, other than that, Fantix going to pop the ulti, go in for mid-beast, but Trinity Force up, BF Sword here as well. Gangplank damage pretty much here at this point.
Absolutely. The Gangplank is powering up, and he is in a very dangerous position. All he needs is that second item to be completed for the cooldown reduction, that Essence Reaver, hopefully. It might be going straight for the Infinity Edge, an aggressive option. You lose a lot of your cooldown reduction, but you get a lot more damage if those barrels crit.
Certainly do. As continuing to farm up here in the bottom side. Just see a Zeal in for Stealthix now as well, so probably rapid fire cannon on the way as Seb is down here. 3v2 right now, ulti up from GP as well. Kuden barely misses getting tagged by that Spirit. Now they'll turn around. Stealthix hitting a huge amount of damage as Sybil's down here as well. Gonna try and turn it into a 3v3, but the culling is used. A spear will land, and the Direwolves cannot continue.
Those spears do so much damage. Direwolves honestly almost could have turned that back around if it wasn't for Seb being there. He still hasn't gone back to get that Rod of Ages, so he's very close to being online one more time as Ezreal's ultimate hits the shopkeeper. That's a bit rude.
Does clear the wave, of course.
Oh, you got a notification for that now.
Oh, bye Harold.
See you, Harold.
Won't see him today, or at least not in this game.
Baron's reclaimed his land.
That's true.
Damn squatters.
7 Sybil once again at it, but that pink ward hotly contested. As Seb is going to move his way forward. Fantix again with the blue buff. Level 13. Cooldown boots done as well. Powering up nice and quickly here. Again, really tight mechanics taking out these Gangplank barrels. But now grouping mid. Fantasy just seem to have the 1v1 matchup. Don't know if he's got the 3v1 matchup just down pat yet.
Well, I think he's got the
Seb.
2v1.
Yeah, has to be careful. Talked about the respect before. Both these champions will do a lot of poke damage.
They absolutely will. This Ezreal is online. Fantix is looking aggressive as if he wasn't already. And this is the point in the game where the Direwolves will probably look for something to do. The Dragon's available. The Baron's there, but I'm not going to say they'll go for that. As Seb, he's opting towards a sneaky Dragon.
Yeah, Nidalee pretty good at solo Dragons. The rest of his team will join him, or at least the bottom lane here. No vision currently up for the Direwolves, so that's going to be very free. It's Seb getting greedy on the money once again. Still hasn't got that Rod of Ages if that's what he wants.
I mean, surely he has enough now, but he just hasn't opted into recalling just yet. Good timing to do so if I were Seb. It's been about 5 minutes since he's had
still
those
jungling.
Items. Yeah, and he's
I just
still
saw him hop
jungling.
into the red buff.
Rumor has it Seb is still hitting the jungle instead of buying his scaling item.
Yeah, that's the issue. 10 minutes to charge that one up fully. He had almost 17 minutes, it looked like.
He had it
which
at
is
16.
Yeah, which is late but acceptable, especially from the jungle. We're almost at 22 minutes now at this point. So, you know, he's kind of investing, I suppose. Makes a bit of sense here, but he's going to not go back just yet. Now we go. Hits the recall button and looks to be spending that money. Fantix also going to do the same here. And Sharp powering up as well. Doesn't quite have the Seraphs on the way as there's the Roa out for Seb. And Swiftness boots done as well. So stay to complete the tier 2 boots. See if he can make it work here. His mid base still struggling. His mid tower is very close to going down. Now this will be the first one of the game.
And Fantix organically takes down his own turret in essentially a 1 versus 1 scenario. Seb's been around. There's been a bit of pressure from Whiffle, and Kuden was here to hold his hand through it. But again, a lot of this is coming down to how the 1 versus 1 is being played. There's mind games with Gangplank Kegs. Sybil found Seb.
Yeah, that could be bad news. Seb taking big chunk damage here as he pounces away. Sybil still going to chase in as Chilling Smite, actually going to move him down. Red buff is there, but the good flash from Seb will keep him safe. Sybil recoils his Spiderlings, does keep them to safety, but this should be a blue buff here going over to the Dials mid laner.
Definitely will be, of course, Fantix. No, it's not. You missed your cue. You had one shot, mate. One opportunity.
Well, didn't get it that time.
Everything you ever wanted.
Spaghetti knees coming into play there.
Fantix spaghetti mode.
Scooting and Raze continuing to apply pressure on the bottom side. Sybil will rotate top, actually, and help out Sharp being able to take that particular structure. And we talked about gold leads before. Infernum were up 1,000, but 2 towers down. 1,000 gold up now for the Dials as the game switches back just a bit.
It definitely has switched back. I was going to say, the last recall that Fantix put in place, he didn't buy anything. And that's why, because he's almost got his own.
Oh, Guden could be in trouble. Big damage there. Good flash out, but he goes maybe the wrong way. Ulti out there as well. Will knock up Seb. Raze. It's going back in for it. And now the TP going to come through from Sharp. Who can he lock down? Great exhaust onto the Rise there as well.
Teleports.
And counter TPs are coming in mid-biz. Barely misses getting tagged. Jack's here as well to party in the bottom lane.
They're looking to wave clear now, basically. Control the lane. They've committed as all 5 members towards this objective. Raze is low, Kuden is low, and honestly, Direwolves should not be able to defend this.
Well, see what they can get done here. Fantix making his way down, but the tower is dead. That's going to bring the gold lead back into Infernum's favor now, and they've got those 2 dragons, don't forget. Up in kills, up in dragons, now starting to even up the structures. Infernum looking good here, but that mid game, it's feeling very explosive. We haven't had that one big fight just yet.
No, we haven't. We've come close, as we did just then. Now, no teleports are going to be available, so there is a chance that we won't actually get that big fight until they are, because anyone goes into that side wave or the spear.
Yeah, big damage onto Fantix. Takes about 25% of his health. Will lifesteal some of that back now with that Vampiric Scepter, but can't leave the AD mid laners alone for too long. As Sybil eats another one. Good hands.
Seb is so good at throwing these spears. He's connecting with everyone that should not be getting hit by them, basically. He's got his Rod of Ages, working towards Azonia's Hourglass. Once that's completed, you'll see a whole new Nidalee transform into this game.
Raze gets it right this time, all the way over to get straight to the farm. Just what you want to do with the Corki package.
Praise the Corki gods.
And now Fantix going to pick up blue buff for himself as well. So almost level 16 on this Ezreal. Just getting so strong so quickly. Still up. Pretty heavy amount of CS there as well, keeping it about 20 to 30 all lane long.
Definitely feels like everyone's just waiting towards their big spikes, and they're starting to hit the spikes and having awkward trades, and it feels like doesn't even get gold for it. It didn't exist.
Oh, I think
that's
Sybil must have switched into
yeah, he did.
Oh,
but
disappointing.
It stays in Jack's mouth.
Yeah,
until he spits it out. Yeah.
Odd.
The Phantom Spider.
Too spooky. As Dials will take out the tower. That's their third of the game. All the outers now fell on the Infernum side, but they are looking to answer in top lane. Jack will meet the wave here in the tier 2, so that'll be okay. And Sharp just here trying to force 7 Stealthix out of his lane, but looks like that tower's already gone, so forget that plan. Sharp is going to defend the tier 2 as Fantix with time alone here. This should be a dead tier 2 in mid lane.
This should be, of course. You can see Whiffle on the outside. He's got that pillar of ice.
Mini wave not cooperating.
No, and they don't get the turret that they're looking for. One stylistic difference at the moment, keep in mind, 6.1. There's changes to yellow trinkets cooldown.
Yep.
The later the game goes, and Infernum have opted towards having 2 of them, having 1 blue trinket on their AD carry, and having 2 of the sweeper trinkets, which is almost akin to the Worlds patch with the way that they're actually buying what they're looking for.
Yep.
Or having what trinkets they're looking for. Direwolves, on the other hand, committing to the blue trinkets and having 2 reds in response.
Which was kind of the standard we saw before that change on this particular patch. So interesting to see how the teams are thinking about trinkets different, as we do have plenty of changes.
That or they forgot.
Into this. That's true too.
It's entirely possible.
Wouldn't put it past them, but we'll see what they're doing for now. As we do have Saracen is completed for Sharp. I mean, of all the things you're going to forget, it's probably a trinket change.
100% of the time.
It's in the bottom of the patch notes somewhere.
Usually have the support telling me to change in 20 minutes.
Well, Sharp now getting quite strong. Stiffness boots up as well, of course. Another changed item that we've talked about at length every now and then. But seeing, again, plenty of them here in this game. I spot 3 pairs, 4 pairs so far.
Very good against the Infernum comp, I will say. They've got the Tahm Kench tongue, they've got Nidalee if Nidalee goes Rylai's, they've got mid-beast barrels, and they've got Whiffle with that pillar of ice. So it's slow reduction, very handy, whereas tenacity, not so much.
Yeah, Dial's looking to fight, though, by the looks of things. Bloodthirst was completed by Fantix, so he has 3 items already and wants to fight. You can see Dial's looking around this dragon. They want to contest for something.
Is it?
Oh.
Yeah, again, Seb is heat-seeking. That's 2 out of 2 so far. We'll see what happens from here.
Good block from Kudun. Will reduce some of that barrel damage, but the Direwolves know there's a weak mid-tower here. Good juke back as well. Culling now forced out. Sybil going in, looking for the dive. He's on to Stealthix, but he might not have found enough of it. Tower's going to get low. They will take it. Sybil eats a big bunch of damage, but he'll get out safely.
Yeah, Sybil actually just zoning away as he's...
Yeah, there's a Tahm Kench in the back, but Midbeast is forced to flash out. Sybil going straight in 1v4, but he's barely going to live. Will he? No, it doesn't look like it. Seb does take him out. And Jack attacks just into the backlines. Kudun's forced to flash out as well. And that was almost a suicide mission from Sybil.
It honestly felt like it. Twice in a row, Sybil's just placed himself in front of the enemy team. He is a tank Elise, so he does take a fair bit to take down, and he almost took Stealthix with him and blew the exhaust from Whiffle and the heal from the Lucian on Stealthix. So not too bad of a play, but Jack Attack was in the backline at the exact same time, and he's a bigger tank. There's no comparison.
He had a very sneaky ulti flank, I believe, to set that all up. And this is going to be Dragon number 3 for Infernum. Starting to get really quickly towards the 3rd Dragon, given the tempo of this game. We're going to watch this again. Sybil, he wanted Stealthix, he just couldn't get him.
Yeah, and he also confined himself into the crevice in that corner of the Wraith area. There's no way out from there. No minions are going to magically walk by and say, I'll give you a lift, bro. You're sweet.
Well, he already used his flash to tower dive.
Exactly.
As they were pushing
this
in.
Is my problem with that. And the exact same thing happened from Kudun 2 seconds earlier. He had to use his flash to get out of the exact same crevice. It's not a safe spot. In fact, it's dangerous.
Certainly not, but Dials at least get the tower. So we can look at that as maybe a win for themselves here. Gold again, actually back to even at this point with 4 towers to 2, but game very close as we've had pretty much 30 minutes of farming with intermittent action. 5 kills only in this particular point of the game. So that big fight we keep talking about could be around the Baron at this point, could be around the challenge for Dragon 4 or 5 for Infernum, but it's coming, and these champions are going to be real fun by the time we get there.
And we mentioned the teleports being available, where they definitely are now. The last fight, Jack Attack used his ultimate to get in, opposed to the teleport. There's the option for a 1-3-1 here for Infernum.
Yep, certainly is. Tahm Kench with the Barmy Cinder, able to push out just fine. Fantix going back in again. Does have to shift over that pillar. Has to play a little bit more careful here. Raise off to the side. Way caught out here is Whiffle. Just going to go in here, but still taking good damage. Actually, might even go down. Trundle support, not that tanky.
Trundle doesn't take much damage, but if you walk head first into a Corki, I feel like you will take a fair bit, as we're going to see Jack Attack back into this bottom lane. Just going to use that ultimate because the teleport is available. Yep.
Does have, I guess, the extra teleport spell there with the ulti and the summoner spell. So Sharp might be forced into a different lane, but you can see both teams almost trying for that split. Sharp and Jack Attack at different points, trying to push out those different lanes and get more of an edge on the map.
Yeah, and again, the top lane's got a big stack of minions that Raze is going to go have to deal with, basically. Otherwise, it'll start being lost to the turret. And that's a lot of lost gold that the Direwolves definitely want to pick up. So smart from Raze, but it's also a situation where Infernum could look towards that middle lane.
Yep, you can see the rest of Direwolves grouping up here, defending pretty nicely, actually. That mid tower is nice and healthy. That's probably the biggest issue in this game for Infernum, is that they don't really have any good central points of attack. They've got the flanks there with the top and bottom outer turrets gone, but there's a big wide open space in their mid lane that Direwolves can try and exploit.
So this is a situation where I honestly think Sharp can fight Jack Attack, just finish his Void stuff, he's good to go.
Yep.
He will absolutely destroy Jack Attack through that ult rotation and all of his spells. And this is where it actually gets a little bit tricky for Infernum, because look at Fantix's farm, look at Raze's farm. They are massive.
Certainly are.
Like, they are beyond massive.
Well above the curve as well. Raze actually just went back. Might have a package, but the speed is going out. Doesn't look like it. Fantix again are going to eat a spear, but Bloodthirster Shield doing overtime here.
Yeah, so the counter has always been some kind of lifesteal. The overshield from the Bloodthirster is a very good way to deal with the Nidalee. Even if the spears connect now, they're not really chunking him through that overshield. So in a comfortable position here, you would have to say Direwolves is
this will be interesting. I don't know. Oh, nice juke, but Sharp doesn't want the fight. I think he expects the rest of Infernum to be here. So Jack will scare him away, forcing the ulti out of Sharp. Sybil trying to get some vision, but again, this Dragon area has pretty much been owned by Infernum this game. Oh, very nice hit. The rest of the team comes in. Fantix not going to have to flash as well. Damage is massive, but the X-Drinker will proc. Culling is not quite enough. Fantix lives on 15 health.
That is almost cruel. Infernum, they're going to get the turret, and they can look towards potentially the Baron or another type of objective here. They've got some time where Fantix has to recall, but instead, they want to work the bottom turret. Jack's already set it up. Yep.
Wave has been pushed in, so they will move their way into this lane and try and pressure a bottom tier 2. Mid-beast, good barrels down there. Does miss it though. Really nice autos here from the Direwolves lineup. Denying a lot of that gangplank power. Now going in for Sep. Raze with a massive package play. But the Zonya's going to get popped in there for Sep. Sybil around the side, stuns up Whiffle as Stealthix. Now going to get jumped on as well. But the rest of the Direwolves support squad sort of caught as a nice 4-man ultis out there from Grom. Sharp now looking for the next player. Sybil gets his way off. Whiffle will be the first to fall as Fantix will claim it. And a big fight, but only one kill there.
Direwolves managing to find a single kill. Jack Attack just sits in the back line of Direwolves and just annoys them. Gets his grey health to a massive amount, and this time he actually flashes out, recognizing that his team is not going to win the fight, and they consolidate their losses, and they only actually get Whiffle for this, as the engage from Raze and Sharp was exactly what it needed to be, but mistimed spells the biggest factor in this, because Nidalee gets out with her life, even if it was just barely. Whiffle gets stunned by the Braum passive. The rest of the team just walk their way out.
Yep, full Whiffle there. The support, which is I guess the one you expect to lose, does go down there as Sybil will take out the Baron side Scuttle Crab. 55 seconds now to Dragon 4 for Infernum. Direwolves would certainly like the stats, but what they really want is Infernum not to be on 4 dragons.
Absolutely right. The threat of the 5th dragon is something you don't often see, but is very likely to happen in this particular game. They've had control of the dragon area. They're doing very well in regards to that objective that they're trying to control. My question is, why are they not looking at the Baron whatsoever? Look at all the vision control that's in place there from Direwolves. It's essentially permanent vision, because they're not looking to contest it in Infernum. And if they're blue wards, then they're actually very efficient with their vision placement from the Direwolves.
Yeah, absolutely, as Jack is still pushing his bottom side, might be trying to get some pressure down. Yeah, Sharp out of mana, going to have to just leave the area. Whiffle does do a check in there for some wards, but doesn't see too many. Scuttle Crab, of course, providing that vision, but Infernum now moving on to that Baron side, like you mentioned. They're the ones actually to get initial vision down here.
And they definitely should be, because Direwolves are kind of feeling on the back foot. They're just sitting back and wave clearing. And honestly, at this point in time, Infernum look like the ones who should have absolute control of the map. The gold lead is not very different at all, but this is actually a big deal.
This would be big. Seb is here ready for the steal. Needs to throw that spear, but it's too late. That was a very fast dragon. Seb didn't have time to throw the spear,
and this
let alone take the dragon.
Again, Infernum aren't really on top of their objectives. They're looking and they have the right idea, but they're not being efficient with being there in advance. They were looking at the Baron. The dragon was just taken from under them. And there's another 6 minutes now that's gone to waste if they were looking for the 5th dragon.
Yep, and we talked about the threat of the 5th dragon. Big sigh of relief there from the Direwolves. because they don't have to worry about that objective for a little while longer, and they'll get a nice boost to their stats as well. The first dragon feels like the most important one these days, apart from the 5th, of course. But it's pretty hard to get there, as we've noticed, as the Wolves now feeling a bit better about themselves. Still eating spears, but Fantic's shrugging them off at this point. He's going to just start pushing down this wave. Jack still on that bottom side, though.
Yeah, I mean, they were looking to run a 1-3-1, you would have to say, Infernum, but they need mid-beast to poke. The problem here is they're running a poke comp against a lot of sustain. They've got Fantix, who's just straight up gone lifesteal. They've got a Corki, who's actually not even being hit by any of the poke. He's just sitting in side lanes for the most part. It's impossible to hit Sybil. Sharp's doing the exact same thing. And Direwolves are kind of just running Infernum around. They know they're behind, and they're not trying to fight, but Infernum aren't pushing that aggressively enough until now.
Yeah, now they are. This is a really nice spot, actually. They spot raising the top lane, pushing out the wave. Big ulti there, but not enough to deter them from pushing that tower. 5-4 now, actually, in structures, as Infernum have found their way with about 2,000 gold up. But honestly, at this point, 36 minutes in, it's going to be more about the execution and play around the map, and especially those big team fights around objectives.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We'll see if they want to focus those. I mean, again, it feels like they're waning a little bit. They're focusing more on the vision control than they are committing to anything. Direwolves, the first team to look aggressive.
There's a ward in the back, though. Infernum are going to know this is happening, but the Direwolves are going to rush things down.
There.
They are there, but now Direwolves might turn and fight. Gangplank ulti does get burnt. Jack Attack going to try and move somebody up there. Culling's out as well. Blocked in from Kuden. Fantix has to get out of the way, and Sharp's sort of moving back there as well. Ulti out from Kuden to disengage. Where can Sybil even go from this point? Does go back down, but Stealthix maybe caught out. Eats a Q from Ezra, and it's almost enough to take him out. Sharp now, the next target, as he's moving out damage, but Jack Attack will claim that first one. And a very messy fight here as Fantix is still firing away. Whiffle is in trouble as Fantix looks to get aggressive, but the poke is maybe too much. Seb, he'll get tagged next. Fantix basically 1v3 right now as Jack does get tagged up as well. Cocoon will go wide. And that fight went a long way down this lane.
It definitely did. Direwolves looking to take initiative this time. They forced the Baron, but they also confine themselves into a very set area against the Gangplank Trundle and a Tahm Kench, who already had the flank and denied a lot of damage from those carries. Sharp was doing a lot of work. He had to flash and almost got Stealthix down, but Stealthix lives and lifesteals his way through it all. And again, Direwolves, they're close, but no cigar.
I feel like we've seen that twice now from Stealthix. We're going to get a replay.
Yeah, so the Gangplank ultimate is zoning 2 members of the Direwolves. Whiffle puts down the pillar as well to ensure that they are not even near the fight. Meanwhile, Sharp flashing back in on Stealthix, doesn't quite get the kill. In fact, misses his combo a little bit, and the pillar one more time. A big factor in these fights. Jack Attack has not actually activated his grey health once in any of these engages, and the Direwolves, they're poking down, they're working their way into the game, but they're not actually getting kills.
Yeah, they just can't close these team fights. I mean, they lost to carry early there in Sharp. That's, again, the second time I believe Stealthix has lived on barely any health. As Fantix has a pretty massive amount of CS there, 407, 200, but it's still not feeling like he can close these fights.
And 425 farm for Raze. They're farming really well. They can definitely last hit minions, but in terms of their macro level play, their decision making around the map, it's there, but it's not refined.
Yeah. Ooh. Sounds like Direwolves from last season in a lot of ways when they had King. Raze, a very hot young talent from the challenger scene, but right now Direwolves struggling a little bit. Infernum sort of running them around. And Dragon is back up in minute 50, but Baron's the real big fish to catch here. Fantix has the last whisper now as well. He's pretty much ready.
Yeah. He's massive.
He's been ready for a while, I feel like.
He has been. He's been ready for approximately 18 minutes, 54 seconds, you know? Give or take no time.
Oh, Whiffle. He's struggling. Ooh, very nice shift through that spear. They're going to keep chasing. Jack is pretty much unkillable, though. Sharp does catch one. No mid-beast or flash after using those oranges.
Whiffle's low.
But they get a free summoner. Whiffle's low as well. Direwolves going to start pressuring. They really want this Baron. That's the objective they've really set their eyes on.
And why is Corki recalling?
Package, I guess? I guess they're just clearing vision. Direwolves not going to commit for it. Oh, Raze. Lucky to be alive.
But now they're committing to not doing the Baron. They've got the package and they want to win a fight with the package when they had control of the Baron area. They could have forced the objective knowing that Whiffle wasn't going to be there. Gangplank has his ultimate though. Tahm Kench has just used his to go bottom of farm, but the teleport's there. I mean, Stealthix has his as well, so they didn't actually burn a lot. They only got 1 member low, but
starting
finally,
Baron. I mean, TPs are up, everyone can get here, but the Dials with no vision there for Infernum are burning down this Baron. Infernum, no idea this is going on. And that's a big drop of the ball there. That's a Baron taken by Braum, of all people.
And this, again, we were talking about it earlier, the fact that they've this time only got 2 of the blue trinkets. One of them is on their top laner, the other on cooldown. They have no ways to check without vision, without actually face checking and getting it down. Now, Infernum are running a poke composition, so if they ever face check anything, they die. Vision's the most important thing for them. They just lost the team fight. Direwolves commit to the Baron, and Infernum weren't able to reset the area around that Baron quick enough. They lose that basically for free.
Yeah, and that's rare to see a free Baron, but that's the reality here as Direwolves might even sneak the Dragon in as well. You can see Infernum already double wards over the back there. Sybil on the way, but maybe caught here by Whiffle. Does get some vision down. They'll sweep this out as best they can. Direwolves are committing to this Dragon. They do not want Infernum to have the 5th. Spear is there, but Sybil comes in with a smite. Now the Wolves really going to look to turn the tide of this game. At this point, they have all the momentum, start to push forward.
They have pretty much the game in their hands right now. It's not necessarily their game to lose, but they've got control as Seb.
Oh, Seb caught as well. Sybil dives straight in. Fantix over the top as well with the shift. Ulti out there, does get it, but Azani's is good. Kuden with the ulti mistimes it ever so slightly onto Seb and Whiffle, who will get caught out, but he's fairly tanky as Raze is way too far forward. Midbeast coming in, gets him with a crit. Fantix eats a spear. It's just so messy here.
They're trying to work around controlling that middle lane, and that's where basically Raze was. He's looking to cut them off. Sharp's working down the bottom lane at the exact same time, and the Direwolves, you're right, they feel scattered. Raze doesn't have enough lifesteal to deal with all this poke that he's currently being received. Needed to change his item build accordingly to deal with the Nidalee, to deal with the Gangplank and Illusion.
Well, Fantix again going to eat a spear, but he is pretty chunky. Does have full blue as well. Lord Dominic's Regard is completed, so even Jack Attack is not that safe from Ezreal. But you can see the wave clear there is good. Yeah, the cannons are firing away.
This is a cannon army. This is actually ridiculous.
Stealthic's going to continue to eat poke. They just can't clear this easily. Jack eats one. Throws him in. Oh, that'll clear him out. Balls a strike.
Genocide. Cannon side.
Well, minions still moving in. Plenty of cannons left here. Raze eats more damage and forced a Valkyrie away. Kuden now going to block some of that poke. Raze trying to poke very aggressively there towards the front. Jack Attack going to eat him though. Raze in trouble but gets himself out. Boost to the mountain popped in and Jack's getting low. Sybil down there does pop his repel and Whiffle's going to slow down Kuden who pops away to Fantix. Raze. Naughty boy. Almost got himself killed.
Naughty boy. Sieging against a poke comp never works unless you dive. They're running a Ryze. They're running an Ezreal and they're running a Corki. So their dive involves needing to have flashes available, ready to go, and actually just take them out. Now, they're playing against the Tahm Kench, Gangplank, and a Trundle. So you can't dive this comp that is still a poke comp. They needed to work around a split push, have Sharp go into another lane, and just poke with what they have. And honestly, it becomes a delayed poke off. But Direwolves doing what they are now, they're just getting Raze killed over and over.
Well, almost killed at least. Hasn't died just yet, but it's gotten fairly close. Had to burn everything there to live, including support items.
Calm down.
He does need a little bit of chill, I would agree.
On his farming, on his positioning. You just, look, calm down, Raze, all right? It's getting ridiculous.
Big crit there in the mid lane as well. Midbeast massacring those minions. We didn't really talk about it, but he's got so much damage at this point.
Yeah.
Full CDR, Essence Reaver, IE, Trinity Force with a Dead Man's Plate. You can see those barrels doing work.
Towards a bit of armor as well in this build where you have to consider Ezreal does do a lot of physical damage. Corki does a lot of physical damage as well, but they're a bit mixed.
Yep.
Like it hurts a little bit in both directions, and he doesn't actually have any magic resistance to deal with that poke either. Dangerous game that Midbeast is playing by stacking one type of resistance. Somewhat effective given you can eat oranges and be okay though.
Yep. Does feel like very much a poke style build here. The way he's building, trying to set up those barrels, but haven't seen a big barrel play just yet. They can certainly do some work, but Infernum are sort of just left setting up defensive vision here. Nice barrel actually in that brush. They're not going to check it. A little too dangerous here as Midbeast pops a barrel just to run himself away. And we're sort of back to square one, except this time Direwolves don't have Baron.
Yeah, there's a very dangerous proposition here for the Direwolves. They could take a Gangplank barrel at any time, and that would change the entire fight. The thing is, they have been quite vigilant around these Gangplank barrels. I haven't actually seen Midbeast try anything creative yet. He's just doing two. And they're always dying because he's not placing them efficiently enough.
Yep, you can see back there, kind of warding off any dive. Once again, the dive threat here of the Dials team comp versus the Gangplank in particular, and even Tom Kent, is just not really there. So, I mean, there's no objectives, I guess, to play around the map with at this point, so might as well give this a go, but this is going to be a long haul for Dials to break this base, and that's been their biggest struggle, it's just getting into the base.
If it's worth
Raze!
it, oh my god, Raze,
Oh, he might die here. That's the Valkyrie out. They're calling out again as Sybil's going to block it, but this is the chance for Infernum to start fighting. Kuden going to pop the ulti, but the Pillar's going to knock up 2. Kuden going to be the first target there. They will spot Raze as Mid-Beast takes out 1. Barrel there for the speed up. Sybil going to get chased. Pillar's there as well. Can't repel down to that Krog. Got pulled away by Fantix, I think, but he does get out with a flash.
The spear almost connecting onto Sybil, and only one person goes down. Raze is low, Sybil's low. There's no dragon, there's no Baron for them to take. So Direwolves should be able to reset here.
Ooh, Seb. Fantix smells blood, but the rest of the teams there will not go in.
The Zonias was available for Seb as well, so very easily could have baited as Raze. He's got the package. There's a very real chance that he just jumps into all of them because, you know, that's just package things.
Yep. Actually didn't take that death. It was Kuden that died. He didn't die again.
No, he got out with his life. A lot of overshield.
What the hell he got back?
On the Direwolf side.
Yeah, well, certainly playing very aggressively is the young AD carry, but not getting punished just yet here. But like you mentioned, big objectives weren't up, so it wasn't a bad time to go absolutely ballistic, but he's going to maybe have to rein it in. Baron again, though, on the way. 20 to Dragon, 30 to Baron. And 47 minutes into this game almost.
Like, he's got so much farm, he may as well stop farming.
Yeah. You tell that to a young challenger AD carry, Rusty.
What's the record?
I don't know, but he's doing a good job here. 5:18 so far.
46 minutes. I feel like we've created like the Terminator of League of Legends. He was built for one purpose.
To farm.
To farm. A lot of his stuff has been mispositioning, but he farms damn well.
Certainly does. Whiffle maybe now caught as well, but he's going to eat some poke. Pretty tanky still, so he'll be okay for now. His Dial still looking for some traction around these objectives. They have the Scuttle Crab, but haven't swept that ward that's nicely placed just in front of their whole team. Barrels again being set up, but will get popped there by Mid-Beast. Dials don't have enough vision to force this. They need to force something though, and Dragon is up.
Direwolves are controlling.
Race hitting Baron.
Yeah, they're doing it as 2 people. He's got a lot of lifesteal now as well. Keep in mind, I believe he finished his last item. Direwolves, they're starting to force this in a very cheesy and cheeky
This is really creative, but it's low. They do know the ulti's out. Has to get the Baron. Corki will secure it, but Kuden may be caught there. Jack attack going to go straight forward into it as the Ezreal ulti pops out. Jack is tanking so much damage. Grey health pop, and he's got a whole new lease on life. But the damage, it might not be enough. He will not die, but it gets awfully close as the poke there from Infernum keeps him safe.
Nobody dies ever in this game. It's just so hard to tip the balance because they're 2 poke comps with a lot of sustain. Direwolves, they get the Baron. The Dragon's about to be up. It's number 4 or 3 for each respective team.
Ooh, Fantix eats a spear, but again, not too much damage. Shop will TP out from base into mid lane. Direwolves are looking for a fight here. Just one team fight this late into the game. Could cause it. Sharp home guards his way forward, but aggro's the Dragon. Kuden pops in there.
Here we go again.
Jack attack back to full health. Gonna try and eat Kuden perhaps.
Good
Barrel's good. Fantix aided. Whiffle on the side is taking trouble, but the tanks are just so massive here for Infernum. Raze goes a little too far forward. They want the Dragon. They will get it by the looks of things as Rise takes it. Whiffle now in trouble off to the side.
Whiffle
Eats the
might be
cocoon.
dead.
That's bad news. Do take it out. Sharp gets it after a crit, and Stealthix pops the culling, but it's too late. The Direwolves finally get their kill, and Raze has gone aggressively forward. Sybil is going to look to challenge, but hits a minion there with that cocoon. And Kuden, he's not done. The whole Direwolf squad are going to move in for it. Barrel is good. Fantix is forward. Sharp flashes in. Stealthix barely lives. Mid-Beast off to the side is low, but Raze takes him out. The Direwolves finally break them.
They actually get the kills that they were looking for. The Gangplank ultimate was not in a position to disengage at all. Jack Attack's still here to defend, but they want this turret.
Can't defend this, and Jack's now too far forward. Sharp does have the snare up. Jack can't live through all of this damage. Grey health not able to be popped. CC'd for too long, and Direwolves break the bottom side.
They finally break the base. They're going to have to recall, but they've got that Baron buff available to them. As 60 seconds is how long Jack Attack's going to be dead for. Level 18. We're going to see this fight again. The kegs were great. Jack Attack does eat the wrong target, you'd have to say, with Kuden. And Whiffle overextends here one more time because they want to steal the Dragon. Rise connects with the stun, Sybil connects with the stun, and watch the crits that continuously come out of Raze. He hits people once, and they lose half of their health. every single time. Direwolves, they're in such a commanding position from this fight, and honestly, even the Gangplank ultimate was not enough to save them. It was missed position. Infernum, they're going to be really stuck in this position.
You watch the replay, and it's crazy how long that fight went all the way down that bottom lane, but the Dials get what they want. They force a fight around Dragon after, I have to say, almost stealing that Baron out from under Infernum, and now in prime position to take what's been quite a marathon game number 1.
The poke comp just isn't doing damage. The second Bloodthirsters are built. There's a Maw on the Ezreal. This should be Direwolves' game right now. They've got the Baron.
And you can see now they're starting to shake off a lot of that poke. Base tanking a lot more here. Gangplank ulti just for wave clear, really. And the 80 carry damage between Fantix and Raze, this might be a bit too much. Jack is tanking what he can, but bottom lane's a problem now. Mid lane's starting to get poked down as well. It's only a matter of time, you have to think. That's a massive wave in the bottom side.
It definitely is. That would be able to take a turret by itself, essentially. Raze
again! So far forward, but a good block of the culling there from Kuden. And the Dials, they just have to be patient, but it doesn't seem to be in their playbook.
There's honestly nothing that Infernum can really do. They're just trying their best to control the zone around the turret. The second Direwolves get a chance to break it, that could be an entire team fight that breaks out from it.
Huge wave top lane too by the looks of things. So Direwolves have all 3 lanes prepped. They've got a gold lead, but it doesn't really matter. This looks like it. Good pillar to really slow those minions down. They're getting so blocked by the poor pillar, and they just can't get in.
It's ridiculous.
This is ridiculous. Fantix, oh, he gets one hit. That's the tower. Now Jack in a surge forward. Sybil dives in onto him, and that's going to be the target. Kuden pumps the ulti out, and the front line is down for Infernum. They'll move in for this in here. 4v5. Infernum can't defend at all.
Not having Jack attack is their big tank member missing. All that's left is Poke and Whiffle, who dies very quickly. Don't let the Trundle fool you. He is not tanky. Direwolves, they're looking to
that
end.
could be bad news. They are going to look in for it, but Seb pops his Zhonya's off to the side. Sharp going to juke around the culling. Is that Nexus turret will go down. Infernum looking to counter-attack here, but the damage just might be too much. All they have to do is kite. They're going in for mid-beast now. He's going to get CC'd up there by Sybil. Sharp going to face take it. Seb will die without his Zhonya's, and Dials keep getting pick after pick. Oh my god, Stealthix. Fantix in trouble too. One more hit might just do it. Gets exhausted, but the heals pop. Raze goes back and gets the kill there onto the Gangplank for a killing spree. And the Direwolves, it's pretty chaotic, but it looks like they can end this game. Stealthix does do so much damage, but Kuden's going to block it out. Fantix wants it. They go in for Stealthix, gets crit again, but he'll barely live once more here. Whiffle is going to go down there on the Direwolves in 53 minutes. Will eke out game number 1.
Absolute insanity from the Direwolves. They look so messy in their first game of the OPL, but Infernum, they had no answer to that team comp. And Jesus.
The mechanics are there. Let me tell you, between the mid and bottom lane, we talked about Fantix, formerly Perfection, being an exciting player. Talked about Raze being this really hot up-and-coming challenger 80 carry. Looking good. But oh man, was it messy to get there.
That took a very long time. A lot of questionable decisions from Raze, but Sharp came up trumps and he was consistent in what they needed.
Well, it was a pretty long game there. We are going to get our experts' opinions to throw ourselves back to the analyst desk.
Wow, what a game. That was a nail-biter, and you have to say that even though Direwolves in the end ran over the top of Infernum, that was a very good start to the map for what is a very young team in Infernum.
Yeah, most definitely. And I'm looking at Seb here as well. Minky, let us know. I mean, is this guy vocal? When you played with him on your side, is this someone that we should be looking at here? Because his early game was fantastic.
Yeah, Seb was always, the talker. He leads the team, tells them what to do. I really feel like he focused a lot on farming in the early game, and he got pretty far ahead. Once the dragon fight happened, he pretty much catapulted his team forward. They just couldn't capitalize, unfortunately.
Yeah, so let's take a look at Seb's early game. I mean, he cleared the full of the jungle with only 3 potions. So he puts the whole jungle on rotation without a leash. He gets a 6-minute 40 level 6, which you're expecting about 7 minutes 20 to 7 minutes 40 around there when you're picking up your second buff. And then he goes to dragon fight, which I believe we have a replay for you guys, and just grabs a double kill, secures the dragon over the wall. This guy did it all in the early game.
Yeah, he was really carrying them through, and I'm really looking for Seb to get this team moving forward. I mean, that game, this is, of course, a best of 3. So the Infernum now have an opportunity to look at that game, understand that it was the early game that they really had under control. They've just got to work out finding a way to get themselves into a closing position because they just couldn't break the direwolves, and it seemed like they were just laning too well. I mean, Fantix, he was ahead in farm. He was denying barrels all over the place. He managed to take his turret on his own at around the 25-minute mark, really doing fantastic things on this Ezreal. They couldn't stop him. This is after throwing 3 bans at the dude.
Yeah, it certainly was, but we do have the replay, guys, so we're going to pull it off here. So, Mickey, take us through this one, because you were talking about how good his target selection is during this little skirmish.
Yeah, so it starts off with Seb jumping over the wall, spearing the Braum and taking the dragon. He then goes on to pick off the Elise.
Yeah, so the really incredible thing there is the fact that he's able to grab the dragon and the Braum kill like at the exact same time. So, credit to that guy. But now let's go towards the mid lane because, you were just about to hit on it, Atlas. Fantix, he itemizes very well. Minky, what's it like playing against the blue Ezreal, especially when someone like Perfection, now Fantix, is jumping around the rift on it?
Yeah, it's really annoying. Like, you can't really get in because, he has so many escapes and he's just, the best poker. When he gets the... what's it called?
Iceborne Gauntlet?
The Iceborne Gauntlet, yeah.
Yep.
You just can't get close to him. So I think Gangplank had a huge disadvantage that lane. He did claw back, though, in terms of farm and gold. Perfection was too good, I guess.
Yeah, Midbeast just couldn't get it going early. The last guy that I really want to look towards for maybe the step up out of Infernum, never thought I would say it, but Jack Attack on that Tom Kench, what the heck is going on?
I know, right? Managed to get a solo almost on Sharp there in the top lane. Had to jump underneath the turret, picked up the kill as, of course, Fantix did end up managing to get up to that top lane to try and secure him. But Jack Attack is playing a whole lot more aggressively than what we're used to. And he was almost unkillable towards the end of that game. That Grey Health was unable to be popped in that last team fight, which is really what turned that one around. But he was waiting until the last second. His Tahm Kench play was fantastic.
Yeah, it certainly was. But of course, guys, that is only game 1. We're going to throw to a quick break, but don't touch that browser because we'll be back with game 2 in just a